If you wake up every day and go to this business that you just bought and you don't like it because you think there's going to be some exit or some like you're going to sell it eventually or whatever, it's not worth all that time to get to the end for that little amount of time. Because I promise you, when you do what you say you're going to do, your goal, you're going to turn around and just be like, well, that was quick, and like move on to something else. You have to know that every single day you wake up, it may not be easy, but you have to enjoy the process. I'm Tyler Altenhofen, co-founder and chief growth officer here at Franchise Sidekick. I grew up in Iowa, grew up on a farm. Man, growing up on a farm is wild. Like, you learn entrepreneurship, you have to, right? At one point, I think I was probably 12 or 13, my dad started subsidizing our farm by buying cars and rebuilding them. And I started to do that when I was probably 13 or 14 years old. And that was also a very impactful time in my life. So I started kind of doing that with him. And I remember, spending tons of time in the garage and fixing these cars up and selling them. And at one point, my mom allowed me to do it myself. And so I bought this junk car and I fixed it up and sold it and realized, wow, you can make money doing this, right? So that was the first time that I actually had a business at 14 years old. And I started to buy these used cars and fix them and sell them. And so I did that for actually through college. So I ended up selling a couple hundred cars. I'd sell them to my friends. And that allowed me to fund my first business, which is a restaurant. Yeah, when I was in college, I actually only had my first job. I never had a job before, so my only job I've ever had really was in college, and I worked at a GNC franchise. So it was my first introduction of franchising was GNC, and so I did that when I was in college. And at the time, my boss, he's just like, hey, I love what you're about, and I think you'd be a great partner. He's like, I want to open some restaurants. And so I'd never worked in a restaurant before. So we came up with this concept. I actually drew out the sketch and the blueprint in my study hall in college. And I was in business school. And I remember like my people that I was in a group with, they're like, you're not going to do this or whatever. And I remember them distinctively saying, you're not going to open this restaurant. So I graduated in 2005 in December. We opened up the restaurant in January, like 3 weeks afterwards. And I remember graduating, jumping right into this thing, and thinking I made the biggest mistake in my life because it was 2 a.m. in the morning and I was in the kitchen. I'm like, man, I just went to college for this. What am I doing? But it was amazing. And I learned so much. So we were fortunate. We were successful. We had a couple locations, then we sold that company when I was 29. And so it was a great learning experience for me. So after I sold the restaurants, I think I was 29 at the time. I just felt like I worked so hard to build these things and build the systems and create everything that I was looking for a better way. I knew there's a better way. So I just doubled down the idea of looking at franchises, and then I found Complete Nutrition. And that's really where me and Ryan reconnected. And so he was the founder of Complete Nutrition. And, we just reconnected at that point. And then I had 3 stores over the next 6 years, ended up selling that. But once again, just going back to the idea of having those systems in place, I just couldn't get away from that. So that idea of franchising just stuck with me for so long. When I left the restaurants, got into the franchise, I distinctly remember the first couple of weeks of owning that franchise. And I'm like, holy smokes, everything is here for me. Like, the systems are there. I don't have to think about all this stuff. It's actually here for me. It was just this light that went off. It allowed me to think about, wow, I can focus on the things I'm good at. It's the marketing, it's building the relationships, it's maybe perfecting the systems. But that was the biggest epiphany of like, wow, that is franchising. That's a power of franchising right there. And we went from 1 location to 3 in less than 2 years. It was just the scalability was so much faster because those systems are in place. And it was just like a aha moment, because it took us 6 years to get to the second location with the restaurants. This thing was like, boom, ready to go within a year. So originally when we first started this thing, it was kind of a one-man show. So I remember getting on these calls with clients, like we really didn't know exactly what we were doing, right? It was just kind of an idea. So I was the guinea pig. So I got to go out there and kind of do this stuff. And so I remember having these conversations with people, and I'm like, I knew there was a problem, but I didn't realize how much of a problem there was. So I started talking to all these clients. And so in the first probably year and a half, I talked to maybe 500 to 1,000 clients I worked with directly. And so I saw the impact of what I was having on their life. But more importantly, there has got to be a better way to do this. And so that's when the idea really blossomed in the Franchise Sidekick of like, how can we create systems and how can we create a process that's going to be bulletproof? And that's really where the full scope of Franchise Sidekick happened. When I got back into talking with clients, I'm such an entrepreneur at heart, and I'm so pro entrepreneur. I believe the world's problems are solved by entrepreneurs. And so I think that a lot of people just are stuck a little bit sometimes. And the power we can we can bring them great concepts, great business concepts, franchises that are ready to rock and roll, that have the systems in place and allows them to use their talents is incredible. And so I love the idea of spreading the word of entrepreneurship. I think it's just so important. So this gives us the ability to do that with Sidekick and franchising as a whole. Franchising allows people to once again just double down their strengths and not worry about the stuff they're not good at. The impact it has on their families and long term, it's so awesome. And not only their families, but communities. I mean, Ryan's helped the world over 5,000 locations. Think about the impact of not only families, but those communities as well. The jobs, giving back to the community, that whole thing, it resonates with me so well. Our team here at Sidekick is awesome too. I mean, every day I get up, every Monday I get excited about this, and just talking to our team and getting to work with our team, right? So we're a bunch of entrepreneurs. That's the best part about this. Like if I look back, probably half of our team actually were connected through franchising at some point. And just to see them blossom and the ability for them to actually get into franchising is awesome as well. So yeah, this team is fantastic. I'm pro entrepreneurship. I do believe that it teaches people so many important lessons and it really does impact the world in a positive way. I just come from a whole line of entrepreneurs, right? Like no big stories to tell, but once again, going back to the farming idea, that's a whole another ball game when it comes back to entrepreneurship and owning your business. Is just, you got to understand production. You have to understand finance. You have to understand markets. You have to understand all this stuff. I mean, it's incredible, right? It's probably one of the best entrepreneurs are farmers, right? So I think that is instilled in me. But then I look back and, we've had a ton of different entrepreneurs in our family. So now I've got 2 boys, 4 and 8, and I still, every day we talk about it, right? We talk about different businesses. Right now, YouTube is their thing. Like this is crazy, right? This is a new development. So they have all these toys. And what they do now is they go and they take cups and they take ping pong balls and they're doing trick shots and recording themselves all the time. Like that is what they do for probably 2 hours every single night, because they want to have a YouTube channel. And they talk about monetizing it and how they're going to do it. And like these kids, the way they talk about it's incredible, but they're used to me and my wife talking about it. And so, yeah, I really think that it teaches them a really valuable lesson. And once again, entrepreneurship is just so important to me and my family. Future of Sidekick, I mean, I can go on for a long time, so I'll do my best to try to summarize this, but ultimately it comes back to the one thing. It's reducing our risk for clients. So every time we think about a big idea or think about anything around this company, it's that core value. It's reducing risk for our clients. So every single week we talk about this, and we have so many incredible things on the docket that are going to help our clients reduce their risk. It's just awesome to see the impact that we're going to have in this world. I get excited, like obviously talking about it, but just the idea of all these different ways we can reduce the risk of our clients and help them change their lives and their family lives just gets me excited and fired up every single day. I live in Colorado, so I love to be outside. I love to do things with my family. We love to explore Colorado in general. Sports are always big. We're active people. We like to work out, things like that. But, I go back to, I love to work, but I love to produce. I love to build things, right? So I think that everybody always has to have a hobby or know what they'd like to do to relax. But at the end of the day, the thing that I think about the most isn't a hobby or doing this or that. It's producing and it's building great things for the world. So I hate to be one of those guys, but I feel like that's it right there. It's just, it's building things is probably my hobby. I think probably the most important words of advice is, how does it fit into your life? Just don't do something for the money. Don't do something because it makes sense financially. Do it because you want this to be embedded in your life forever or for the next 3, 5, 10 years. Like, know how it's going to impact your family, know how it's going to impact your friends, your finances, and really think about it holistically. It's just not about, I'm going to open a business, I'm going to make more money. It really is more than that. So you have to understand how it belongs into your current business. And also just know that it's always not going to be perfect. In fact, it's never going to be perfect. It's going to take a while to figure things out, but be okay with that. Embrace the grind. There's no finish line. I don't want to mean it like you should be grinding all the time, but the journey, because we're on this earth for a shorter period of time, right? Like the journey, there's no final destination. If you go and sell a business, that's not the final destination. Like, you're going to probably start something else, right? You have to really like the journey. That is the biggest thing, where people will sometimes think, I'm just going to do this for a short period of time and sell it. and they're going to hate this 3 to 4 years, and that's not how you should live life. So you have to enjoy that process every single day. My favorite sidekick has got to be Genie from Aladdin. I just think that I like to make dreams come true, right? I mean, 3 wishes, that's what it goes back to. So that's my jam right there.